was not my intention to make this video. It was not part of my intentions. I actually feel a little bit back to normal compared to how I was feeling on my way back home around 5 today. I don't even know what word to use to describe it, but it's already the 19th. It's been 10 days since the assassination of Charlie Kirk happened. Time flew by. Time just flew by. That's crazy. It's been 9 days. That's crazy. Okay, well, I didn't really want to make a video. It's not within my intentions to start recording and posting about this, but it's beyond me. It's beyond me, the feeling of making this video. Today I was feeling really, I don't know, it's just, I had a headache, let's put it that way. I had a really bad headache, trying to process everything that has been happening since the 10th, when Charlie Kirk got, wait, did I just say it was the 19th? It's the 16th. I could have swore I saw my calendar and it shows the 19th. Now I'm looking at it right now and it shows the 16th. Apologize for that. It is about to be 12. I'm really tired and I was not planning on making this video. But I'm trying to process everything that has been going on for the past, I'm gonna call it a week. I know it hasn't been a week, but it's about to be a week in just a couple of minutes. There's a lot of people that are experts on the subject, and then there's me. I'm just, a regular guy that spends most of his time working. That's through all these days I've been working, opening my phone. I have actually tried to avoid a little bit of social media because I can't process everything that's going on. And it's not just about Charlie Kirk. It has to do with school shootings, what's going on in Gaza, and what's going on with like pretty much everything that's going on. Is okay. Let's get back to the video. I think it's gonna be a long video. Anywho, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that is having issues or trouble processing everything that's going on. So I'm gonna try to reminisce day by day. Just like I said, I'm not an expert on this. Nothing at all. Charlie Kirk, I saw a couple of his videos before this happened. Honestly, I knew him more just by a few videos that I saw of him, where talking to college students about abortions and talking to them about their how they're trying to transition to another gender and whatnot. And that's about it. I can't call myself a fan or that I know him at all, because if you add up the minutes of the videos that I saw previous to him getting it, what happened to him. And I'm just saying that because I don't know what I'm allowed to say here, or not. I wouldn't like the video to get put down, and if it does, I guess it does. But so yeah, the first day it was kind of strange. because right when it happened, I actually went online and I saw what happened, and I sent a message to my wife. I'm like, I remember I was sitting in the Chinese buffet and I saw the video, showing what happened. And at the moment, I didn't even knew who got shot or exactly what happened. I thought it was just another school shooting, but it turned out to be him, and it felt weird. I felt off, like something just felt off. I remember I got out of the Chinese buffet, and I was still in shock in a way. I remember I sent a message to my wife, sharing with her the news, and she was telling me that she was aware about it. She was like, I guess getting updated by her family. But something didn't feel right. And a lot of people talked about this the very same day that it happened. And I was really, really intrigued to make a video just to upload, just specifically talking about that part, that it didn't feel like there was something like ominous, like in the air, like I don't know, like just the feeling that something big was about to happen. And in other words, it was more like his this tragedy triggered something in a lot of people, people that didn't know him and people that knew him in a way. And it was really weird because it was like me personally, I felt like this urge of making a video. And actually what not necessarily, let's go back a little bit, not making a video, but more like I did something that hadn't done in, I can easily say months, if not almost a year or so. But I prayed. I actually prayed, and I just prayed for his family. Just asking God to like protect him and his family. Hopefully, he will walk out of this and give his family strength. You know, because of the tragedy that happened. But it was weird because I have never done that before. I have never prayed for a stranger. And I was doing it for this guy that I only see in a couple of videos. And it just felt off. Like, I remember that day I came back home and it just felt. I think everybody had his family in our thoughts, just the sense of coming back home, seeing your kids. I have kids, so I was putting myself in the wife's uh, shoes, and and the kids, knowing that their dad is not coming back home to them, how that must feel. So it was. I wish I could have the word to describe it, but that was what was happening, and everybody was feeling similar to that. And the really interesting part was that a lot of people felt that urge of something coming, and we saw how people took it. How the different ways that people handle this feeling. The another thing that shocked me, shocked, surprised me, that I was not expecting was the reaction of a lot of people. That were celebrating what happened. A lot of people in the comments. I was really, I was intrigued by, especially by the people that within not my close circle, but like my social media contacts. I was actually really curious to see who was gonna be speaking against it, and who was gonna be, in a way being supportive about what happened and feeling sympathy towards the situation, towards him and his family. And that's the other thing that shocked me, like the reaction from people. I remember the first time, like a few words came to my head while scrolling down the comment section. One of them was one of the words that came to my head was, and I just had the word and it escaped my mind. Conditioning. In a way, mixed with the feeling that I had before at the very beginning, and then seeing the comments. One of the first words that came to my head was conditioning. I was like, oh Lord, if the time to start something in this country, if people are wondering what time is the perfect time to start something, to start like something major in this country, I think it will be this time, because of how people were conditioned. You you can see on the comments things that you never expected from people that you never expected to say those things. And this situation triggered transparency within, everyone. Like, you got to see people's true colors in these type of situations. And after that, another word, a few more words that came to my head, and it might sound a little bit too drastical, but hell, I don't know, that came to my head as well. Like, hell, I guess there's just some people that you cannot give yourself or give them the luxury of arguing with you or even entertaining their thoughts. And for a moment I was like thinking, like, I guess hell might be full of that, like, and I'm not saying that these people are gonna go to hell or anything like that. No, nothing to do with that. But within those comments, we got to see like people who stand really strong on their belief that this man was a bad person. And then you saw how some people were influenced by these individuals, the videos and comments that they were sharing, and how easy it was to make them believe certain things that weren't true about him. And I'm only saying this because I put a pause to, like, making a video, or because at the end, at the first video that I wanted to do was talking about how tragic this was, and the reaction of people towards this tragedy. I wanted to make a video about that and just put it out there that, like, how I was feeling in the situation, how I was trying to process it. But I put a pause on that, 6 days after I'm making this video. And the situation with the comments and how people reacted to this, and how you got to see how some people are so easy to manipulate towards, your agenda or someone's agenda, or and the thing is, like, a lot of us were seeing how our close relatives were the ones that are so easy to manipulate to certain things. And not knowing this guy, only watching probably around like 30 minutes of his videos. I remember one video that I saw. Well, I was like, let's just put it in minutes. Let's say I saw 10 minutes of him preaching, talking, sharing the gospel. Another 10 minutes talking about how college is a scam. And another 10 minutes talking about, why is it bad for, like, this gender discussions that he had with people. And that's pretty much everything I had to go off of that. And then I did saw a few things here and there that he was supporting Donald Trump. And honestly, I think that was the point where not only did I got super busy with work, and I've been disconnected from things that are going around the world, just trying to focus on work, pretty much trying to focus on my life, trying to focus on my kids, my wife. And previous to this, honestly, I had every time I go into social media, there's social media right now is a really negative time to be going into social media and expecting, especially depending on the algorithm that you have. The algorithm that I have throws at me like bad news left and right, or just news around the world. And the state of America, the state of the country where I came from, Mexico. And my personal situation, uh, I'm not the most financial stable right now. I'm trying to get out of the situation that I am right now. And every day, I just try to go out there, focus on making the money that I need to pay my bills, to pay my debt, to pay people that I owe money. And that's like my main goal. And according to my math, 2 years from now, I'm gonna be debt free from everything. And I was actually thinking of leaving the country. I was actually thinking of going out there looking for another place to live with my family, just because the state of this country, like, there's if you're watching this video and you're at this minute, you pretty much know what, you probably have an idea what I'm talking about. But then again, it's not as easy as it sounds. I didn't want to do the same thing that my parents did when I was a kid. Leave my family behind, have the separation, start over from scratch. And then at the end of the day, no matter where you go right now, the problems that are going on around the world are gonna follow you. And are gonna follow you, and I think it's best to take action and do something about it instead of just, running away from it. I've never been the runaway from problems type of guy. I've tried to avoid them. I tried to ignore them. It's too much sometimes to process. But in the midst of all this tragedy and problems and conflicts and whatnot, there was a sign of hope. If you know what One Piece is, you know what I mean. One Piece, what happened in what's it called, Panama, with how the people went into the streets and pretty much it was like the chapter from Alabasta from One Piece. If I have to um, use a metaphor for this, it was pretty much close to what happened in Alabasta, where people overthrow the government and put a new person in charge, and clean up afterwards. It was crazy, but I think that's the highlight of this week. One Piece, like just seeing the flag of One Piece being flown across the streets in their parliament building, and it's crazy. That actually, that right there, I wish I would have made a video during the day, because my excitement would have been more clear, more I was more expressive during that time. But then again, I'm just trying to process everything that has been going on during this week. And now, I see everything about Gaza, and how the United States is trying to. I just heard right now. I haven't done my research, so do your research before you even take, my word for granted. But it sounds like the United States is gonna be funding the retirement of the soldiers from Gaza, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I seen the videos. I seen the videos of kids. Basically, the genocide that is happening in Gaza, and I've been trying to process all this information. And honestly, I didn't. One of the reasons why I didn't want to make this video was because I tend my actions to speak for me instead of my words. And probably by the time I upload this video, I'm gonna have a GoFundMe account There's something that I have always wanted to try. I actually tried it before, but I didn't try it with the Christian community. I actually tried it with social media and friends and people that know me. I try to do this non-profit organization that unfortunately did not work out the way I wanted it to because of lack of knowledge. Nowadays we have artificial intelligence or AI, easier to pronounce. And thanks to AI, I have actually gone through and run my equations of the plan that I had going on that I wanted to make happen, and unfortunately it didn't happen. It didn't work out the way I was hoping to. But thanks to AI, I see where I went wrong, and I see where I could have saved a lot of money, especially in attorneys and CPAs and all this other stuff. But one thing that is pretty clear to me right now in the United States and the rest of the world is that if you compare all religions and you ask which religion is the one, or which belief, let's call it like that. I'm not really a big fan of religion, of the word religion, but let's use the word belief. Which belief is the one that is most divided in the whole world? It's easy to say that Christianity is the one that is the most divided. I mean, we already have all these different what's it called, like how we have Pentecostal, how we have Baptist, Methodist, all these different types of Christianity or Christian beliefs. It's easy to say that Christianity is a belief that is divided the most. And even right now, like with this situation, I think, like, if you want to make a list of the reasons why this is happening and why it's having such a big impact all around the world, it's mainly because of that. It's like it was kind of like a wake up call to. I mean, at least it was for me. It was like a wake up call to, like, you can ignore reality just so much, but it's gonna catch up to you. It's gonna catch on, and you're not gonna be able to, like, hide from it. It's gonna catch on to you, and it's best to do something about it right now than later. I have always pictured the United States kind of like the Titanic. You have the Titanic sinking. I remember when I used to the first times that I saw the movie, and even more now, when I use the Titanic movie as the metaphor or the actual thing that happened. How in the movie is 2 hours long, right? But during the movie, it looks like the Titanic took hours to sink. It didn't look like it was like, 10 minutes, boom, the boat is sunk under the water. In the movie, it looks like it took hours for it to sink. Like, I had this conversation with, I think it was my family. I don't know who it was, what family members, or if it was friends. But I was like, man, if I was in the Titanic and I know that it's sinking and we don't have enough lifeboats to serve ourselves, but we have all these life jackets, we have these doors, we have wood, we have tables, we have all this material that we can literally build rafts. All you need is an hour. Like, honestly, if you have an hour, you have a lot of people, just bring all the life jackets, you can tie them together, make a raft, put a table on top of it, and but obviously, and during that time, people are freaking out. Just chickens with other heads running around. And I feel like that's how our current state of how the United States is right now. Is like the boat is sinking, and especially that Christianity community is like everybody's going into their little groups, trying to, like, not even survive. It's more like the boat is going down, is sinking, and each Christianity group is just pointing fingers at each other, trying to point out what's wrong in how you are doing things in your church and how you're doing things in your church. And the boat's still sinking. It's like, dudes, the boat is sinking. Instead of arguing against each other, we can actually work together and either patch the boat and prevent it from sinking, or build a raft enough to help us get to, safety and survive, thrive after that, find a way to coexist with progress in mind. And that leads to the other question, and I hope at least I get one person to finish watching this video. It's gonna be a long video, but if you made it to this part of the video, like I said, probably by the end, when I upload this video, I'm probably gonna have a GoFundMe. I always wanted to try to do this. What if the money that you put in church, that you used to for tithing, the 10%, what if we use that money to like actually build a Christian nation, where that same money is used for housing, for food, for aid, for health. I mean, just today I was talking to a new co-worker. I was like telling this person, it's crazy how here in the United States, if you have money, you can literally put your own clinic, put your own private institutes, pretty much start a company of anything. Like, for instance, my company, I do architecture work and engineering and construction. I'm not even an engineer or architect. I know how to do the work, and sometimes I do like 80-90% of the work, and then I pass it on to the engineers to check everything that I do, just trying to save myself money. But the crazy thing is that, and for days, I didn't even need that much money. It only takes $1,000 or less than $1,000 to put your own company, to do all the paperwork, get licensed and whatnot, to be a general contractor. And you can literally, under that company, you can do a whole bunch of things. You can start a construction company for electrical, for plumbing, or everything. In this case, I do everything. I do new constructions, remodels, engineering, architect, and I do a lot of handyman work. And like I said again, there's a lot of, like, if you want to look at it that way, the United States is in a way the land of opportunity. Because the other thing that I was talking to this person was that another reason why it's so easy to start something here is that there's resources and there's money, and not necessarily money in the sense of like you can just go and grab money from the tree, but it's easy to get money in this country, like just with loans itself. There's a lot of financing out there, and there's just access. There's access in this country, access that you don't get in other places. And going back to my experiment, if you want to call it that way, and this is, you might be careful bringing this to your church, because I have gotten kicked out for thinking this way from church, and just from groups in particular. You would think, that it's common sense to. I made a video on my own TikTok channel where I was breaking down the math from, if you have a church that has, let's go with 1,000 members, just because it's easier to do the math. If you have a church that has 1,000 members, and each member gives $100 every week, it might sound crazy, but there's a lot of people that do this. Every week, that church is bringing in how much? Every week, this church is bringing in, put 2 zeros, let's bring out the calculator. It's late. I know. I do construction, all this. I was gonna say $10,000, but I think it's 100. 100 times 1,000. Pretty sure it's 100,000. And I just need to double check because it doesn't sound right. I think it's like 10,000. If it's 100,000, I'll be shocked. So it is 100,000. What? Oh yes, I said 1,000 members. So if a church has 1,000 members and each member is tithing, giving the 10% of each check, 10%, that's $100. Every week that church is raising $100,000 every week. In that TikTok video, I remember I broke down the math where you have 1,000 members, if you have 100,000 members. And I remember I made another YouTube channel called 100,000, Nebura 100,000, something like that, where I was trying to get that channel to have 100,000 members. And I was like, man, if we all just can put in $1 a day, $1 every week, 1,000 members, 100,000 members, $1 a day, $1 a week, I'm sorry. That's $100,000 every week. We can literally start buying our own piece of land here in the United States and then start building. And right now, thankfully, technology, it's so advanced that we can do a lot of things automatically. Just imagine this, building all these communities where we grow our own food, where we own our own hospitals, free healthcare, free education, the essentials, having access to essentials without having to worry, without going to sleep wondering if I'm gonna have enough if I'm gonna have enough money this month for rent, for food, for gas, for the bills. We are at that age. We have the technology to make that happen. We have the technology to make that happen. We have the communication, we have the skills, we have the tools. But we are so divided that even, we're so divided that we're not even willing to try. But like I said, this is a long video. If, pray to God, hopefully that this video, it's not a seed that got thrown into the concrete, but actually lands somewhere. And even if we end up being, like 2, 3, 4, 10 people, heck, Jesus had 12 disciples and they managed to change the world. So, it doesn't take much, it just takes the right people. So if you guys made it to this part of the video, thank you for listening. Thank you for, thank you for your time. And God bless you. And hopefully this is the start of something new, something better. Hopefully I see you guys here. I'm gonna try to go live. I'm gonna set a date. Every week I'm gonna try to go live as much as possible, maybe like 2 times per week, an hour, 30 minutes. And I want you guys to really get to know me. I want to talk about topics that I was not allowed to talk in church. I want to talk about topics that are really controversial, that I just want to put it out there. I want to use my YouTube channel to not be afraid, not be shy. I just want to put it all out there, see what you guys think. I wanted to do where I read the Bible, just go page by page. And as a community, kind of try to see what the Bible meant by that. The Bible and I'm gonna leave that for another video. But I think the Bible in like, and I still see it this way. The Bible is, after you just gave your life to Christ, and you have the feeling, I'm talking about the feeling that a lot of people got when this happened to Charlie Kirk. That same feeling, like, a flame igniting in you. It felt close to how it felt the first time that I gave my life to Jesus. Not the same powerful feeling, and you just felt like kind of like the fire was burned out, and this kind of ignited it, even if it's a little tiny ember. That's kind of how it felt, and here I am. I was not planning on making this video at all. I got home, cleaned my office. I didn't want to have a dirty office. I have kids, and they come here and they play, and they, do their thing. But I wanted to, like, it's always good to have a clean area to invite, Holy Spirit to join you, and, hopefully guide your words. And believe it or not, I started more than I did in this video, but thankfully it came out a little bit smooth. Guys, I'm gonna have to print out the One Piece flag and hang it in the back. That's just crazy. That's awesome. If you're a fan of One Piece, you're in the right place. We're definitely gonna talk about that too. Have a good rest of the week.